Hi, everyone, and welcome to Katie Couric. Today, she's the late-night host giving the boys a run for their money and single-handedly making chunk, chewy, and should-do-be household names. Chelsea Handler's new book is called Chelsea, Chelsea, Bang, Bang, and her show, Chelsea Lately, airs on E! As usual, we'd like to say a big thank you to the sponsor of our web show, Dove. And now, here's Chelsea.
Were you drinking? Because I want to know what you drink to keep your body like that, because what I'm drinking is not working. I know you did a song on this album with T.I.
Yeah.
Who I used to have a very intimate relationship with.
Really? Are you serious?
You think that's funny? Ruben Studdard had the year of his life. He was in The Blind Side and Precious. That's interesting because we taped this show at around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so somebody didn't just wake up looking this magical.
I guess you told me, white woman, huh?
Yeah, I bet I did tell you. And
Well, I'll tell you this much.
I don't have to shake my head to do it. I could just do it with my head straight like this.
I was out with a friend of yours the other night, Cloris Leachman. I went to drinks with Cloris.
Oh, really?
Yes, she called you a slut recently.
Oh, doesn't everybody?
Hi, Chelsea.
Hi, thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for coming to our show. I understand this is an exclusive interview. You haven't been anywhere else.
No.
Is that true?
Absolutely.
You're lying to me. Didn't you do the 8th hour of the Today Show? Tomorrow you're doing Good Morning Toledo. What up?
I think I know something about Good Morning Toledo because I always give them the second interview. So that's coming after this.
So,
yes.
well, thank you very much.
I always come here first.
Well, it's really nice for me to meet you because I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm so happy for all your success.
Thank you.
And so you're talking obviously about your new book, which is your third book.
Chelsea, Chelsea, Bang, Bang.
Now, Chelsea, Chelsea, where do you have time to write all these books? You're so busy. You're doing the show. You do stand-up comedy. And when I saw that this was your third book, I'm like, how do you do that?
Well,
do you really write them?
I do write them, actually. It's not like a lot of these other girls in Hollywood that
Don't you hate that when
Yes.
people do with or ghostwriters? I just think there's something very intellectually dishonest about that.
Well, also, it's your life. So how could you have somebody else? I mean, don't you know your life better? Doesn't Tori Spelling know her life better than you know, a ghostwriter or somebody that she's working with? I mean, if you can't tell your own personal story, then you shouldn't be telling it, is my feeling. And especially if you're a comedian.
Does it take you a long time to write the books?
Well, I write at like a 2nd or 3rd grade reading level, so it's,
no, you don't.
It's a lot easier.
I would say 8th grade, Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say it myself, so I was going to allow you to give me the compliment. I just left that wide open for you. Yeah, it is difficult to write them. I mean, it's fun because I'm a comedian, so I just talk as if I write as like I talk. So it's basically what I would perform on stage is how I would write conversation or a dialogue or, you know, a personal essay. But it's time consuming, definitely. You know, now that I have a daily show that I do, it was harder to write the book because my first 2 books, I was waiting tables and I was like, oh, I guess I'll just write a book about one-night stands or something, you know, a funny story. And so it was easier. So this was definitely, you know, I'd go to St. Bart's with my boyfriend for a week and say, oh my gosh, I'm going to write 4 chapters. And I'd come back with a paragraph. You know, you go to St. Bart's and you have a margarita and you're like, I'll come back to this tomorrow.
A lot of people are feeling really sorry
I
for
know,
you
they
right
should
now.
feel sorry for me. The reason I can go to St. Bart's is because I keep writing these books. So
Yeah. Well, you write a lot about your childhood, which sounds like it was, I mean, you're the youngest of 6 kids, right?
Yeah.
And your mom passed away. Your dad is still living. Do they ever say to you, Chelsea, please stop telling stories about us? I mean, are they used to it by now? Do they just say, oh, whatever?
Well, my mom's not talking to me anymore because she has passed away.
But
my father thinks he's a celebrity. He loves being spoken about, you know.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I was on the Today Show with your friend Matt Lauer, and he was so excited to be. He said, I was talking about him because in the story I write about how he started dating his 19-year-old Jamaican cleaning lady. And he said, why are you telling that story? I don't want people to think I'm unavailable. I said, that's your biggest problem with that story is that people aren't going to think you're hot on the market and single. So he says it's so hard for me because, Chelsea, you know, I've lost my anonymity too. It's very hard for me to be your father. And I'm like, Dad, nobody knows who you are unless you're introducing yourself as Chelsea Handler's father. Nobody knows you at the supermarket.
But is he getting a big kick out of your success? He must be, right?
Yeah, he is. He tried to charge me to use his picture in my book. He said that he wanted to charge me $25,000. And I said, that's never going to happen.
He was kidding, wasn't he?
No, he's serious. I mean, he'll push as far as he can go to see what he can get away with. And then I said, well, I'm not going to pay you. And he said, well, I can sue you for using my likeness. And I said, well, no, because you would have to borrow the money from me to sue me. So that's not going to happen either.
So what about your siblings? Do they ever say, I mean, because you obviously talk about them, you talk about your friends, you talk about the girl who taught you how to, the
discover
feeling.
my girl parts?
Yeah.
It's called the feeling.
Taught
I
you
got
the
a feeling.
feeling.
Yeah. Well, you have two girls.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah, that's my dad right there, the hot mess on the left. So that gives you an idea of and that's just the top part of his body. Yeah. That's a bowling ball on top, and the rest is a giant bowling ball to go with it.
No, it's a pin, right?
It's a bowling ball.
Oh, it is?
It's sphere-like.
Oh.
He's shaped like Mr. Potato Head. Mr. Potato Head of
Mr. Potato Head had a little body, though, and a big head.
Well, this is Mr. Potato Head's grandfather.
Oh, okay.
And
and these are your siblings, obviously.
Yeah, my sisters and my brothers. And
they're so cute.
Thank you. We have fun. We have a good time. I mean, with a childhood like we had, we kind of have to make fun of it.
Well, what was your childhood like?
Well, my dad was a used car dealer, so that was embarrassing because he would have like 7 to 10 used cars from the year 1965 in our driveway when the year was like 1985, and he never sold any of the cars. So dealer was kind of like a misused term because you would have to sell one. And my mom was kind of like a cat; she slept a lot. And I was the youngest of 6, so by the time they had me, they were just kind of wiped out.
Yeah.
They just kind of figured, I guess if we get pregnant again, we can just let her raise herself, I guess was their game plan. I would wake them up and be like, come on, you guys, it's time to go to school. Like, I have to go to nursery school. And they'd be like, no, stay home today. It's freezing. It's too cold. Just stay home and watch soaps.
But did you feel neglected, or did you feel like they loved you and they were just tired?
No, I was neglected.
Really?
I tried to put myself up for adoption several times. They were tired, and my brothers and sisters acted more as parents to me, more of parents. I mean, they were kind of more integral in shaping me as like morally. I mean, and they kind of took care of me. But, it was really embarrassing when there's fads that come and go, like the Barbie dolls or the Cabbage Patch Kids. My parents never got me the real Cabbage Patch Kid. It was like the Cabbage Patch Kid without the birth certificate,
I heard he was an African-American preemie named Stanley. Is that true?
It was true. His name was Stanley. But that's what my dad named him because he said he was Jewish.
So
he Jewish African-American.
Oh, I
preemie.
see. Well, speaking of that, I don't really believe they made preemie Cabbage Patch dolls.
They did.
Really?
They made them. This wasn't a real Cabbage Patch, though.
Linsley's saying yes. Our stage manager saying
did.
yes. I kind of came after the Cabbage Patch craze.
Well, don't brag, Katie.
I'm
don't
sorry.
brag.
No, I came before. Sorry, before the I'm too old for
your
them.
kids probably were after.
And I was definitely way before the Cabbage Patch thing. But your dad is Jewish, right? And your mom was Mormon?
Right.
Whoa. What was that like?
It was embarrassing because if you had to choose, first of all, they told me to choose my religion when I was 3. They said you can choose Jewish. They were eating, at the dining room table, and they're like, Chelsea, you have to decide if you want to be Mormon or Jewish. And I was like, what? And my
When you were 3?
I was 3 years old. I'm not exaggerating. My sister was 8. My sister's yelling behind me. She's like, pick Jew, pick Jew, pick Jew. There's more presents and holidays. And I was like, I'll be Jew. I didn't even know what it was. But those are the kinds of decisions I made at such a young age because they didn't have any parenting skills.
Oh, I feel bad for your parents now. I feel bad for you.
Feel bad for them. You should feel bad for me.
Well, I do feel bad for you, but on the other hand, was it really that bad? And if so, is that where your comedy comes from?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I do a television show where I have to, I don't have to make fun of, but I do make fun of all these ridiculous celebrities. I don't make fun of people that I don't think are ridiculous. I think there's plenty of celebrities that handle themselves with aplomb and, comport themselves in a respectable manner. But I think there are many, obviously, that we all know about that don't. And I like to call people out on that. And I think if you're going to take the liberty of doing that on national television, even if it is on cable, on a mid-level cable show, that you should start by making fun of yourself. And I think that I've always been very self-deprecating. That's what my books are about, and that's what my stand-up's about. And so I think people, have a little bit more tolerance for me doing it because I am so quick to make myself the joke.
Yeah.
And I was in my family. We were all jokes. The whole thing was a joke. And so it wasn't so bad. No, we weren't starving on the street, and asking for food. We had food. But we also had a father that never changed his clothes, like, for weeks at a time.
But did you feel like I feel like I should get a sofa for you and one of those little tissues for your hair. But do you feel like you were loved growing up?
Yeah. Yeah, my parents loved us.
Despite it all?
Yeah, I mean, it was their version of love. You know, I mean, we're very close, my brothers and sisters, and I think that's probably a good testament to my parents, or just us struggling to stay alive.
Yeah.
I did feel loved. You know, my parents never once said to me, "Are you going to college?" You know, when I moved to California when I was 19 years old, I was waiting tables, and I was like, "I don't want to go to college. I want to be, you know, I want my own TV show. I want to do this." And I want to do that. And they said, fine. And they would send me money when I couldn't pay my rent. And they always said, we believe in you. And they told us all that. So they were good parents.
She wasn't like Mary and Precious.
No. No.
Was that not the most
That
shocking?
was disgusting. I mean, that was an amazing performance. That girl, Gabby Sidibe, I had Sidibe.
Yeah.
I always mispronounce her name. I had her on my show the other day, and I just wanted to, like, eat her face. I mean, it was so adorable.
Yeah.
But that movie was
she's
not.
so confident.
She is, and she's got chutzpah. And she's like, yeah.
But wasn't Monique so vile in that? You just detested her. No, I mean, I think that's a testament to her acting.
Yes.
Because she was just so awful, and you just could not believe the level of cruelty that could actually exist, and that one human being could demean another at that level.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. I mean, and then to think that goes on in places is pretty bad. I mean, did you read The Glass Castle, that book?
Yes, so, Jeanette Walls.
Yeah, when I read that book, I felt a lot better about my childhood.
Yeah.
Because you're like, we weren't living, like, out of a tire, and my parents didn't, like, you know, perform their own surgery or stitch up cuts for me. It wasn't that bad. It was very comical. But, yeah, there's times, I mean, I can't really complain. I mean, I've made a really nice living, and I'm having a lot of fun doing what I'm doing because of my parents' bad parenting skills.
Yeah, and it provided you with a lot of material, right?
Definitely.
Were you always sort of the funny one? I mean, I'm sorry to ask you sort of predictable questions, but I am truly curious. Were you the funny kid of the 6 kids, or is it a case of all your siblings being funny? Like Mike Myers says his brother is funnier than he is.
Yeah.
But he just happened to get the gig.
Right. Well, my brother, I have one brother who definitely thinks he's a lot funnier than me, no matter how many times I remind him that he's a CPA, and it was never going to happen for him. But we're all funny in different ways. You know, I'm probably the most outgoing and loud one, and had probably
kind of typical youngest child.
Yeah.
I'm the youngest child too. So we get away with murder, and we can sort of charm our way out of situations when we were little.
Yeah, you were always the favorite, kind of, from your brothers and sisters. They kind of took care of you and did, you know, if we wanted a pizza, like if we wanted our dad to order pizza, they'd be like, Chelsea, you go ask Dad. Or if we wanted Chinese food, they're like, Chelsea, you ask Dad, because they always just say yes to me. So in that sense, I had a little bit of an advantage.
But did you sort of keep everybody entertained at the dinner table? I don't know, did you guys eat dinner together? It sounds like maybe you were throwing things in the microwave while your dad was bringing home another car.
We did a little bit of both.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very disparate child because in the same sense, my parents had a summer home on Martha's Vineyard. But you would think that would mean,
very
we have
fancy.
lots of money. But we really didn't. Like, that was just kind of a fluke, too.
Really?
Because my father bought this property when he was 35 years old for like $20,000. He bought 10 acres on a fluke, and it turned into this beautiful piece of land, which is now dilapidated and looks like, you know, a rehab
But
center.
probably worth a lot of money,
Worth
though,
a
right?
lot of money, yeah.
Right? All right,
As soon as we euthanize him, we're going to sell it.
Aw, is he still dating his Jamaican housekeeper?
No, I told you, Katie, he's available, and he wants everybody to know. Are you interested?
How old is he?
78.
Oh, maybe not.
Going on 107.
Maybe not. All right, so I've got a bunch of different questions, but we actually asked people on Twitter to tweet questions.
Okay, great.
We're very high tech here.
Yes, you are.
So K. McWriter tweeted this: Chelsea, what if anything is off limits to write about or to talk about on your show, for that matter? I guess.
Well, write about, I think, is different because I think talking about on TV has kind of an instant reaction where, like, I wouldn't talk about ugly children, you know, kids that are not attractive. I think that's really mean when they talk about celebrities' children. But in a book, I might do that. But on TV, for some reason,
it's sort of less offensive when it's written out.
I feel like when it's written out, it's more of a select audience. Like, your true fans are reading your book. Somebody can flip on your TV show and watch it and get really offended by something. So I think, you know, the people that are going to go out and purchase a book and read your personal essays are more devoted fans, and then they know what's coming, and then they know I'm not a terrible person. But I generally like to stay away from ugly children. People who obviously are dying, I don't think that's funny. And people who did die, I mean, that can be funny, but it needs like at least 2 months.
Okay, good to know. All right, Hybrid Mom tweeted this. I would love to know who her comedic role models were or are.
Well, David Hasselhoff. He's amazing. He's got amazing quotes.
Yeah, all right, so David Hasselhoff. Who else?
Paula Abdul.
Yeah.
Another obvious one. And
Can you clap like Paula Abdul?
what does she do? I forget. Does she do this? Yeah, she does
No,
that.
like you have to make your
like
fingers go
that.
up because I think, because maybe it's because of her nails.
Well, I'm sure it's because of her nails. If her nails are called Vicodin, I'm sure it has something to do with them.
She's nice, though. isn't she?
Allegedly. I don't know anything about her.
You should have her on your show. I think you guys would have fun.
I bet we would. I would
Yeah.
love to have Paula Abdul.
Are some people afraid to come on your show?
I'm
'Cause they
sure.
just don't want you to eviscerate them, but you don't really.
Well, I try to be nice. It's like if you have someone in your living room, you don't really want to nail them, to the wall. And
But once in a while you do, right?
If it's somebody like, Heidi Montag or Spencer Pratt, then I really don't care. I would actually never allow those kinds of people on my show because I find them so terrible. But if I had a Paris Hilton, I would probably just have my fun with her.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't really know what's happening.
But in a good-natured way. I mean,
Yeah, in a good-natured way. I wouldn't go nuts on them and make them cry.
Yeah.
Not while they were on camera. If
Yeah.
they left and they cried, then that's
it's
their
sort of like
business.
eating your young, though, if they're not smart enough to get you back. Do you know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
have to, I would think you'd have to calibrate how sort of out there you might be with someone, because after a while it just seems too cruel.
Yeah,
right?
you don't want to be mean, of course not. But I mean, from interviewing, there's a fine line, and it can be a dance with whoever you're interviewing.
Yeah.
A lot of people are going to come on and they're not going to give you information. These huge stars, they're great interviews and they're great guests, but they're not going to divulge some great secret about themselves.
Right, but they're not always great interviews, don't you think? I mean, what do you do when you've got a real dog? You know someone who, for whatever reason, they're not particularly bright or they don't come to play, and you're just kind of like, you feel like you're doing all the work, kind of like I am now. Just kidding.
Yeah, no, I feel your pain. I feel it.
I'm totally kidding. But what do you do when you have somebody who's a bad guest like that?
I had one. I wouldn't say he was a bad guest, but he was an actor who took himself very seriously.
Yeah, can you tell us who it is?
Yeah, Ryan Kwanten he's from True Blood. He's an Australian actor.
Oh.
And we did our show in Australia for a week, and he kind of was thrown off when he was talking about acting. And on my show is very light, and it's very fast-paced. It's not serious.
Right.
And I'm not really trying to get serious. So we went back, we were talking, and he was talking about his acting and how, what he thinks about and his process. And it was just... I almost fell asleep, and I said something.
Did he not understand sort of the show? Maybe his publicist didn't,
I don't think so. I think he had never seen the show, and I think it's your business. If you're going to go on someone's show, you should find out what show it is.
Yeah, or know a little bit about what is expected. Yeah.
So he didn't know, and I felt a little badly after because he was like, what just happened?
Very earnest.
He was like, what? And then we came out and we said, oh, let's take a picture together. And he's like, I don't know what just happened. I'm like, don't worry, it's okay, it's fine. But
so did you run the interview as is?
Yes, of course we did, Katie.
Yeah.
This is a business.
No, but I didn't know whether you edited or you wanted to give him another try. I would sort of feel bad. I mean, did he come off looking really stupid and pompous? Or?
I never watched the interview because I don't really get to see my show that often.
Yeah.
If I'm up that late, I'm watching you. So I didn't see him, but I haven't heard from him since, so he should be fine.
So, but your favorite guests I read are Jennifer Aniston,
Jenny McCarthy.
McCarthy. Because you guys did that show together, right?
Yeah. With Leah Remini, we did In the Motherhood. She's a really good friend of mine, Jenny. So she's actually dog sitting for my dog this week while I'm on my book tour.
Yeah. And Jim Carrey you love.
I love Jim. Yeah. How can you not?
Yeah.
I mean,
he is sort of like a younger version of Robin Williams. I mean, you just kind of say hi and then he just goes crazy, which is so nice in a way.
Right. He's a lot less hairier than
that's
Robin
true.
Williams.
Yeah, that's true.
So Robin Williams, it's like, you really need some protection if you're going to go near that body, and I would prefer not to. Yeah. But that kind of talent, comes along once every 25 years. Somebody like Jim Carrey or somebody like Robin Williams, it's like, oh my gosh. So of course, it's very interesting to watch. And
who was your worst guest, other than the Australian guy?
He, probably somebody like one of these reality stars, like a Tila Tequila type.
Oh.
And you have these on, and you're like, listen, I don't, because with the audience.
Well, why do you book them then?
Well, I'll tell you why, Katie. Thank you for asking. Is with the audience.
I think you were going to answer that anyway, but go ahead.
They want you. They are looking for a certain. They're actually more interested in somebody like from Dancing with the Stars than they are, from somebody on Lost or something like that on a series regularly. You know, they like that. The reality shows are so big. They really are more interested in that kind of person who's going to come on and they don't care what they're saying.
Like from Jersey Shore or
Yes,
something.
exactly.
Which I've never seen, by the way. Have you?
You should probably skip it. I'm from New Jersey.
It's so popular.
It is.
What? I don't get it. But because I haven't seen it, but
I think it's a sign of the times. I think we're just probably, it's the apocalypse. I think the world's coming to an end. And if the Jersey Shore is the last show that brings us there, then I'm going to be proud in the fact that I was born in New Jersey and I had something to do with it.
But have you watched it?
No, I've never seen a full episode. I've seen clips, and I've had them on my show, which was, of course, huge, and the audience loved it, and our ratings were huge that night, which, of course, is a sad state of affairs. I mean, that's not exactly something that makes you prideful, but
yeah. Okay, sorry. Moving on. All right, we were talking about Jenny McCarthy. I've got a clip from that show, but we also have Girls Behaving Badly, which was on Oxygen, right? It came out in 2002. Let's take a look at a clip because I heard this was really funny.
There's probably some miscommunication here, and I'm just here to...
Yeah, somebody's crazy.
Obviously, there's a problem here, Kira. Is there any paperwork you have?
Yeah, I just printed this up, and here's her driver's license.
This is a very old picture. Why don't you come over here? Miss?
Oh, my God.
Ma'am, would you mind piping down? And if you just go in there, we'll talk this through.
Oh,
Back up, please. Now, why don't we go over these charges?
Go ahead.
Okay, so you have late fees and penalties. Oh, okay. Barely Legal, Pam Anderson. Girls Gone Wild 1, 2, 3, Barbed Wire, Pootie Tang, Snatch Dragon. Who rented these movies?
I'm not into Pam Anderson, so it definitely wasn't me. I cannot believe this.
Please don't curse. It's okay if you want to rent dirty videos, but it's not okay if you don't.
So this show, the whole premise of this show is you guys would do, it was sort of like Candid Camera, right?
It was on the Oxygen Network when the Oxygen Network first came on the scene. And we did these ridiculous, but that was Officer Handy, a character that I created, who I took really seriously.
Yes, clearly.
We would give people, like, violations for walking the street who would, like, walk out of the crosswalk. We would get on a megaphone and be like, you stepped out of the crosswalk, and then pull them over, and wear a siren on my head, and I would pull them over. I mean, I went to the bathroom in my pants 3 times on set from laughing so hard.
Here's some more questions. Is it hard for women in stand-up comedy? That's sort of a boring question, but is it?
No, it's easier.
Is it?
Yeah, and I'm sick of women saying that it's hard, it's hard, it's hard. It's not hard. If you're funny, and you're going to be funny. And there's truthfully less women out there doing it. I mean, I have female comedians on my show all the time that are hilarious. And, well, that's not the answer to your question, but, like, there are definitely more men to women for doing stand-up. So if you're a girl and you're funny, it's going to be easier. I feel like it was easier.
There's a Vanity Fair piece that showed up in 2008 on female comedians. I'm sure you've read it many, many times.
I think I was in it.
You were.
I was.
And in fact, it said, it used to be that women were not funny. Then they couldn't be funny if they were pretty. Now a female comedian has to be pretty, even sexy, to get a laugh. Do you think that's true?
No, I mean, we have a woman named Lonnie Love on our show who's an oversized black woman, and she's
Lonnie Love?
Lonnie
Is that
Love.
her real love?
Yeah.
Real name?
Well, who knows? But
Yeah.
she isn't sexy, and she's hilarious.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that goes hand in hand.
And Paula Poundstone.
Yeah, and Paula Poundstone. That's a fresh name.
I just like saying that name.
Every time anyone says her name, I just immediately picture a tie. I should bring that back. I should bring back a tie and poise. I should wear poise while I'm performing on stage and wear.
And then you have to wear Chuck Taylors too. Yeah, she wears Chuck Taylors.
Well, Whoopi wears Crocs a lot on The View.
Oh, really?
Rosie did too, and then Whoopi took it on.
But you can't really see the Crocs during the show,
if you're
can you?
looking for them, you
really?
can see them. Yeah,
well,
Katie.
so does the chef whose restaurant you're going to tonight.
Mario Batali.
Yeah, Mario wears Crocs as well.
Yeah.
Crocs are really unattractive.
They're
Do you
the
agree?
worst. I would never, ever put those on my feet.
Yeah, there was a funny Newsweek essay about Crocs, and apparently it generated a lot of reader response. They're very controversial.
Yeah,
Crocs.
they're supposed to be pretty supportive, like chefs like them and children.
Yeah, I guess so. All right, we'll keep going. We have 5 minutes. All right, here's another question. Why is your brand of humor popular now? This is from Jeff Marmons, who tweeted that.
I don't know what my brand of humor is. I don't know.
I think it's unfiltered, though.
That's exactly what I would say, unfiltered. I don't really have filter. when
sometimes you do say things that are funny, because I think that when you are on television and you I mean, I felt this on the Today Show. I was obviously not a comedian, but sometimes I could get away with saying funny things. You have to have kind of a good 7-second delay. Once in a while, do you say, oh, God, I went over the line? Or do you ever feel that way? You feel like it's okay?
You know, for me, mostly, I don't feel that way. A lot of people say, oh, you know, do you regret? And I don't, because my brain, I think, sometimes works faster than my mouth, as opposed to the opposite. So sometimes you fly something out of your mouth and you're like, wait, but my brain is always like, oh, I'm always kind of looking for the funny in a situation, not necessarily for other people, but for me.
Yeah.
And I've been with my brain for a long time.
Yeah.
So I kind of...
You never feel like, oh, I wish I could take that back at all?
Yeah, in personal situations, but not... Well, usually when I'm on my show, I've kind of am driving, you know, the train, so to speak. But if if I meet somebody at a party, sure. Sometimes I say something that I'm like, oh my gosh, what am I talking about? You know, I met Keith Urban at some Golden Globes party a couple months ago, and I had nothing to say to him at all. And I was just we were kind of forced together out of nowhere because he was with his wife and somebody introduced us. And we got up and I was like, God, Australia's great. And he just looked at me, and I'm like, all right. I mean, it was awful.
He's nice, though.
He's nice, but who would respond to me by saying that? That's like saying, welcome to America.
Yeah.
I mean, it was really dumb.
I can't believe you couldn't think of anything to chat with him about.
I just have nothing really to say to Keith Urban, I don't think. And obviously he now has nothing to say to me.
All right, let me ask you about the female writers on your show, because one thing that I thought was so great when I was doing a lot of research in preparation for this interview, that they say you're incredibly supportive of other female comics or comedians. And there was a nice story about how you do a Pilates class with all your female writers.
Yeah.
And one had kind of a nasty pair of running shoes, and you replace them during the Pilates class with a new pair, and that's nice.
Well, I don't tolerate really bad clothing choices. Sneakers and like really bad like juicy tracksuits. I love juicy, but not tracksuits with the juicy on the back. Like,
yeah.
You know, they've moved on to other things, and we should move on with them. People who have, you know,
like Amy Poehler in Mean Girls,
right?
Like the pink velour jumps tracksuit.
Yeah, or like mom jeans, or people who come in with like high tops that you buy that are connected. You know, when they're connected by the plastic ring.
Yeah.
Like, don't wear those into my office because we staple them to a wall please. I don't think so, buddy. It's called.
Yeah.
And so I have been known to take clothing off of people and replace it. By the end of the day, I always replace it with something they can wear. But I like people to keep it at a level, because a lot of the writers, if they're not on camera, they'll come into work, you know, and I do too. I was going to say,
you wear like white gym shorts and a green sweater, like sweatshirt. That's what I read.
Every
day?
No. I work out. Thank you. Yeah, I wear the same green sweatshirt every day. You know I'm Irish.
Well, I thought maybe you took after your dad.
You know I'm Irish, Jewish, and Mormon. Mm-hmm. No, my father... That's pretty funny. My father does actually have a green sweatshirt, but we won't get into that because I don't want to make your viewers sick.
Okay, good. All right, let's take a clip of look at another clip from now. You mentioned this. This is in the Motherhood, and this is the show you did with Jenny, right? An online show. You were very ahead of your time, Chelsea.
Oh yeah.
And Leah
Remini.
I always say her name wrong.
Yeah.
Leah Remini, who's really cute. But I don't think either of them are in it, but you are. So let's take a look.
Perfect.
Okay.
The more of me, the better.
Up your seatbelt. See, I told you the red eye was going to be a perfect idea.
She'll sleep.
Oh, isn't she a cutie?
Huh? Oh, yeah. You like those? Maybe when you grow up, you'll be a flight attendant, too.
Or a doctor or a lawyer and make mommy and daddy really proud.
Okay. Why don't you put your seat up?
I mean, a flight attendant's a really good fallback.
Flight attendants, prepare for takeoff. Nice going.
So the sky waitress doesn't like me. Ooh.
You guys did an online show before, like, anybody was doing this. How did you come up with that?
I didn't. Suave was actually doing it, and Suave
I remember that.
Some other sponsor, and they came to us, and Leah actually asked if I would do it with her because I was friends with her at the time, and then Jenny came aboard, and then we did like I think 2 seasons of it, or 3 maybe seasons, online seasons, and then they made it into a TV show, and then that of course was a complete disaster and was canceled. So good for them.
Yeah, I thought it was funny.
It was funny online, but when they did the TV show, they did it with 3 different people, and then the chemistry, you have to start that all over. I don't even remember who was on it, but it was short-lived, and you know, a lot of those things just don't work out.
Yeah, it's true. It's such a crapshoot.
You know how the internet can be, Katie.
I know. Hello. But tell me about the one thing that sometimes when I watch late night comedy, and maybe I'm just, you know, a hopeless feminist, but I see primarily all white males. And George Lopez, right? And I think, why can't they have a woman do, on a major network, a late night comedy show?
Or why can't they bring Arsenio Hall back?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I ask myself that every night before I go to sleep. They actually came to me and approached me for a network. Probably like a year and a half ago, when the whole talk of the shakedown was going down. And to be quite honest, I didn't think I was really ready to graduate to that particular point, and I'm not really sure that that's where the future of late night is. I think with everything that's kind of happened, that cable is just so much of a better medium for me. You get away with a lot more standards and practices. Why I get to say things that I probably wouldn't be able to say on network television, and I get to have opinions, that are more pointed a lot of times than somebody like Jay Leno has to be nice to everybody, and he's a great guy.
He does have to be careful what he says, and that might kind of ruin my whole
shtick.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I have this show until 2012, but right now cable's doing so great, and I really enjoy this, and it's fun. At a certain point, you have to branch out from talking about celebrities all the time. I would like to, think about talking about politics or sports.
Well, you're smart, and I know that I don't know you're smart, but you seem
smart.
Don't. But you like to watch the Sunday talk shows, I heard.
I do.
Is that true? And so you keep up with politics and...
Well, you have to kind of balance, like with my book, when I'm writing a book like I'm writing, I have to balance it by reading, Steinbeck or F. Scott Fitzgerald, because this book is so silly and ridiculous, and I feel the same way with television. My show is so silly that my brain cells would literally die and melt away if all I did was talk about Dancing with the Stars or, Brett Michaels' show on VH1, the Love Bus or whatever.
Yeah.
So I have to balance that with
I haven't seen that either. I feel bad.
You don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. I can give you a brief synopsis that'll set you through until the year 2019. So I like to balance that with shows like 60 Minutes or, the Discovery Channel or
the CBS Evening News.
And the CBS Evening News. I do watch you. I'm a big fan of
yours. You do?
Yes, of course.
Oh,
You're the first women in late night news. I'm a total proponent of that.
Well, evening news, not late night, really.
Well, it's late night for me at 11. If you start drinking at 6, 11 is late night.
That's true. All right, I want to ask you a quick question about some people. We thought we'd play the name game. Oh, by the way, I'm a big fan of Dancing with the Stars, too. But
you should go on it.
I would never be able to do that.
No.
I would get too nervous. I can't believe that people can go on that show and do those routines. That's hard.
Well, people would say the same thing about you. How can you go and reach how many ever million?
A prompter.
Yeah, but you're still in front of America doing it. You're just in
No, but I mean, you have to learn these routines. Would you ever do it?
No, never.
No? You get to wear those outfits and everything. Those are terrifying.
Be caught dead in any of those outfits.
But you like watching it.
I wouldn't go that far. I'm going to watch it this season.
I thought you were a big fan.
No, we talk about it a lot on the show, so I watch a lot of clips. I wouldn't say that I'm a huge fan of the show. I can see the humor in it.
Do you watch American Idol?
No, I don't.
What do you watch?
I watch serious stuff. I literally will.
The History Channel?
I'll put on the Smithsonian Channel a lot. I literally will watch like a Hitler documentary for 3 hours at night.
Really?
Yeah. I got to find out why, what happened to my people.
All right. I'm going to do the name game really quick because then we have to go because I have to do the evening news.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah. All right. So what do you think of, just give me a couple sentences or words, the Kardashians?
The Kardashians are making a lot of money on their body parts. And if I had body parts like that or a body part like that, I'd be cashing in on it too.
My daughter likes that show, and I'm like, what are you doing?
Well, it's mindless entertainment.
Yeah?
I mean, you just really don't have to think. I mean, that's kind of what E represents. You can just sit there and be like,
and then kind of drool.
Yeah, it's nice. It's probably cathartic, especially if your daughter, the one that's in college.
No, this is my 14-year-old.
Oh, well, then you should worry about that. That is a problem.
Yeah. Okay, John Gosselin.
Disgusting.
Kate Gosselin.
Also.
Really?
Yeah. Did you see that all of a sudden she had long hair?
She got extensions. It was on the cover of People magazine.
People magazine's going downhill, don't you think? I mean, why are they putting Kate Gosselin on the cover?
And apparently did really well. That's what I read.
Oh, yeah. See?
Angelina Jolie.
She's, I think, bad.
Why?
I think she's just bad.
Bad?
Something in her that I don't find trustworthy.
Really?
Yeah.
She seems to do a lot of good, though, in the world.
Yeah, she does a lot of good, but there's something in her eyes that I don't
You don't
trust.
trust her?
No, I don't. I definitely, if I was married, wouldn't trust her anywhere near.
Well, that's
the
because
person.
Jennifer Aniston's your favorite guest, so I think you're being.
Well,
you're,
I love
you're on
Jennifer.
Aniston's
yeah,
team.
maybe.
Joan Rivers,
She looks great.
Ryan Seacrest.
I like Ryan.
He's nice,
He's
right?
a little baby
He's
nugget.
building a little empire. He's like the next Dick Clark, right?
And any of these days he's gonna start growing, and he's gonna be Chewy's height.
Speaking of Chewy, how did you meet Chewy?
I told my producer that I needed a little person as a sidekick.
Yeah.
And he said, "How big do you want him?" And I said, "As wide as possible and as cute as possible." Like a Mr. Potato Head again. I have this thing with round, corpulent figures. I like that.
I like the word corpulent.
Thank you.
It's kind of onomatopoetic, don't you think? It sounds like it is. So you met Chewy.
And I said to him 2 times too, and he said 18, and I said, "You are hired."
What? Okay. I'm not going to even go down that road anymore. All right. So anything else we didn't talk about that you want to talk about? How do you think President Obama is doing?
I love President Obama. I mean, I think it's a very, very, I think it's a hard, I mean, I don't envy his position at all. And I think that I'm getting really sick and tired of everything the Republicans are saying over and over again. I had Karl Rove, I shared TV time with him this morning with his new book. And I think that's also a sign of the times because people are less and less interested in hearing about the same old stuff, you know, with what he was talking about with Karl Rove. That's a little discursive. Sorry, I'm going off.
That's
but
okay. That's right.
with President Obama, I think, you know, I'm a big proponent of his. I appreciate what he's doing, but I just don't think it's an easy job. And I think everybody needs to just stop fighting for the sake of fighting. And it's all about Democrats and it's all about Republicans. And it's just stop it. You know, it's about Americans. It should be about what every American needs. And, you know, I hate to get so serious, but I feel passionately that people need to put their, you know, issues, you know, beside themselves and just listen and think about what people are going through in this country and what the right thing is. You know, it's okay to have progress if the person that you want is, you know, the person that you don't support is in office. It's still okay to have progress. That's going to help, you know, the next person in office and so on and so forth. So it's upsetting because when you get involved like that, you know, as I'm sure you do much more than I do, because you have a serious television show, when you do get involved, you can get so upset. So I can't imagine these people, you know, in the Senate and in the government that have to deal with this every day, because I would have a serious case of agita.
Yeah, I think the whole system is very discouraging at this
moment
in
time. It's
time.
very discouraging because if you try
no matter
so hard,
where you stand politically.
Yeah, and at what point do you just say, fine, I give up? You know, I'm just not going to try anymore to get
I'm just going to watch Jersey Shore.
Yeah, maybe that's what he needs to do. Watching everybody. And
no, well, that's what maybe people are turning to, that kind of stuff, because all the other is too difficult to kind of accept.
Well, maybe they should do that on Capitol.
Maybe that's not really true.
No, maybe they should have everybody gather at Capitol Hill and they can all watch an episode of Jersey Shore together, and then they can vote.
And then they can realize how lucky they are.
Exactly. To not live in New Jersey.
Yeah, or to not be in that show, which I've never seen, so I shouldn't disparage it.
That's okay. I'll speak for both of us.
Okay. Well, it's so nice to meet you, Chelsea.
It was
good
nice
luck
to
with
meet
everything.
you too.
And the book is Chelsea, Chelsea, Bang, Bang. And it's on bookstores now.
Yeah.
Right?
Uh-huh.
It's a cute cover.
Thank you.
Yeah, was that airbrushed?
Probably. My dog was airbrushed. That's my dog, Chunk, by the way.
I know. I saw Chunk. He's cute.
Thank you.
He's a shelter dog, right?
He's a rescue dog. He replaced my ex-boyfriend. So.
Oh, good.
Yes.
He's probably a lot easier to be around, right?
He is. He doesn't talk.
Good. Anyway, all right, Chelsea, thank you so much. By the way, Chelsea is starting a 22-date comedy tour tomorrow, and you can check online for details on how you can see her live. I'd love to come see your show.
Oh, thanks. I'll be back in Radio City.
I know.
We'll get you
tickets.
even
did Carnegie Hall. That's big.
I did.
Was that fun?
It was a little sterile. Radio City is going to be more my vibe, I think.
Okay, maybe we'll get a big group from here and we'll all come and watch
fun.
you. Can we come backstage and say hey?
Absolutely not.
Okay. Anyway, also thank you to everyone who tweeted questions. And now stay tuned for a message from our sponsor, Dove.